Bringing the sexy back. What's up, my fellow horror fans? I'm the Headbanger. Welcome back to the ball. Really stoked, primed, excited to be back with a brand new episode finally. I apologize to all of you that's taken so long. Just been incredibly busy over the last month or so with a lot of various things. Give you some updates then. A couple weeks ago I attended the Days of the Dead convention in Indianapolis, Indiana. Had an absolute blast. I didn't do a report on that as I normally do with conventions, simply because I only get about one episode a month, usually for Horror's Ball in a season, and I don't want half of it to be just convention reports. So the cool thing is, the great Jason over at Beyond the Realms did several cool things regarding the convention. He did a full report from the actual con. Please check it out. I'll post these links below in case you miss any of these great videos. I had the privilege of hanging out with Jason afterwards, and just honored to be on the actual Beyond the Realms set, and we shot some videos that he has posted. Please, if you missed them, check them out. They're great. We did an awesome review for the classic film Necromantic. Get all of those links below. Really cool stuff. Horror show that my band played that I was telling you guys about happened last week. Absolutely delightful evening. I will have some footage of that show on the next episode for you guys, so I hope you enjoy that. It was just an amazing night, it really was. A lot of exciting things, a lot of fun things, but I'm really excited to finally get back to an episode here. As you all know, I feel very highly on 2011, the year in horror. In case you missed the season premiere, the Golden Horn Awards, the Hornies, where I gave a lot of awards to last year's horror films. If you missed that episode at all, go back, check it out. You get to see me in a tie, which is awesome. But you may miss out on some films that maybe passed you by from last year that were really great. I've had some people message me saying, thanks for mentioning that film on your award show. I didn't know, I didn't hear of it, whatever. So go back, check that out. A lot of films. As I said, in 2011, in my opinion, there were almost 40 horror films that were either good or great, which is just such an astounding number. So coming into this year, we're now over halfway through the year now, 2012, and I haven't really talked too much about new horror films. I did a few film reviews for the Horror Happy Hour, Madison County, The Shrine, Zombie. So if you missed any of those, check those out. But other than those, I haven't really talked about any of the other films I've seen from this year. And now I said we're already over halfway through the year, approaching the end of the year in horror. Unfair to expect anything near what horror genre accomplished last year with so many of those films, as I said, that I really liked or loved. But several I want to talk about. I've seen quite a few that I haven't talked about yet. There's a couple films that I've actually gotten PMs about. Headbanger, what are your thoughts on this film? Two in particular that's well talked about by all of you already, particularly The Innkeepers by Ty West, and as well as Livid, the French horror film, which I know some of you have seen already. I know Scotty, Willie Mark is a big fan of that film. I can't discuss those two films because I haven't seen them yet, not by choice, but if any of you watched season 1 of Horror's Ball back in October, I explained my buddies and I do a big Halloween horror movie marathon, 6 films, 14 hours. It's really a big deal. It's my favorite day of the year by far. We're very strategic and serious about what we pick. Typically we have 2 headlining films at the end of the night, and usually it's 2 films that we are very highly anticipated, usually newer films from that particular year. And what we do is we perform abstinence and remain celibate on those films, so we're unable to watch them until that night. So 2 films, headlining films for this year for our marathon are in fact The Innkeepers and Livid. Main reasons because I was really excited about, I love House of the Devil, Ty West. So as soon as I heard over a year ago about Innkeepers and what the premise was, I pretty much knew that's going to be one of our headliners. Really excited about it. I know there's been mixed reviews for that film, but I'm expecting to really like it. And then Livid, I'm a big fan of the French film Inside, one of my favorite films of the last 5 to 10 years in horror. I won't have any comments on those 2 films until after October or the Golden Horn Awards. But I've seen plenty from this year as well that I haven't talked to you guys about. And so this segment here, I'll show you guys, give you some recommendations, or not recommendations. Definitely seen some bad stuff, some decent stuff, some good stuff, some great stuff. Check it out. Let you know kind of the halfway point of the year what I've been into for this year with horror films, and then come back for part 2 of the episode for a big, massive hard box update. Alright guys, check it out. Alright everyone, we got the mid-year in review in horror for you guys. I got 10 films to talk to you guys about, really cool. Once again, excluding The Innkeepers and Livid, which I have to fucking wait till October to see. There's several films I haven't seen yet that I want to, some independent ones. The Turnpike Killer, I really want to see that one. Mold, if any of you have an extra copy of that VHS limited edition of it, I will certainly be interested in purchasing that. Also, much talked about Independent Sleeper, the Sleeper slasher film. It definitely seems to be a love and hate thing with that situation. People seem to either love it or hate it. Haven't seen that one yet. Definitely want to check it out. Several films coming up that I'm really excited about within the next few months. You got Eduardo Sanchez's Lovely Molly, the Spanish film REC Record Part 3. There's a couple other ones. There's one with AJ Bowen and Nessa Ramsey, a couple indie actors I really like. The title escapes me, but there's several more films coming up in the next 3 or 4 months that I'm really excited to see. And I think typically the second half of a year is the strongest half for any given year in horror. So really excited about what's coming up. Here we go. I'm going to do this with a grading system of bad, decent, good, and great. Excuse me a minute. So we'll start off. We'll do we'll save the best for last. So we'll start off bottom end. Much talked about film. Dear God, no. I don't really have to bother with the premise. I know this is, a lot of you out there have probably already seen this or at least heard about it. About the biker gang, the Impalers, exploitation, grindhouse drive-in horror film, retro style. You know what, guys, to be honest, I go in any film really wanting to love a film. I'm not snooty in any way. I don't go in skeptical. Really wanted to like this film. I was excited about it way back when the trailer came out. Love the title. Fantastic artwork. One of the best artworks, kind of like that Hobo with a Shotgun type style artwork. Absolutely love it. Went to the Cinema Wasteland in the spring, got the awesome poster with this artwork. Great poster. Met the guys. Really cool guys. So, I was just stoked to see this film. Watched it at our movie fest a while back. Had some drinks, all that. Understand. Yeah, I consider this a bad film. Not in the good way, bad. Lots of problems. There's pacing problems, editing problems, audio problems. And that's not even talking about the acting. I can look over the shoddy acting in a film like this, that's fine. Some of the other technical problems that are just bad to me. Acting wise, I think he is one of the pluses of the film. I think that lead guy there, that badass with the beard, I think he was by far the best actor in the film. I love the intent of this film. I love the premise. I understand what they're going for. I just think the execution didn't turn out right. It does visually, I think, look pretty good. It was shot in 16, so I think it looks good, the feel of the film. But, a lot of people say, Headbanger, this movie's supposed to be bad. I understand that, but I think sometimes when a film, gets the moniker of supposed to be bad, like it's supposed to get a free pass or, like it's been granted immunity to criticism. I don't agree with that. I just don't think it's a very good film. You guys know I love cheesy horror. I'm a big supporter of that, and that's why while I can't, recommend this film to you guys, I definitely support it. I'm glad I have it. I support these filmmakers. I support indie horror. Hopefully their next effort out will improve. But yeah, I honestly can't give it a recommendation. I did love the final 5 minutes, the final act. I wish the rest of the film would have matched that with the Sasquatch and everything. I love how that looked. That was hilarious. Honestly, this film was only 85 minutes long, and about halfway through it, I was pretty much done with it. There are some scenes that go on too long. There's a stripper scene that kind of gets talked about. I know I read the director said that he purposely did that, supposedly. I know there's some Russ Meyer influence in this film, and supposedly to give some time for people to masturbate during that scene. To be honest with you guys, over the years I think I've developed some proper masturbation experience, and I know enough to say that there are many other better films to masturbate to than Dear God No. But nonetheless, I think this would have been a much better film as a short film. even at 85 minutes, which is short, to me it just went on too long at times. I was done with the idea pretty quickly. There were just some scenes that I just got bored with. Yes, I was entertained at times, but that was few and far between, with the end being my favorite part. I think it would have been a great, like, 10 to 20 minute short film. There you go. But again, I really support the filmmakers, and I hope they go on to do bigger and better things. Unfortunately for me, I think the best part of this film is the title and the cover artwork. Next one, another one I was kind of like really excited about going into it when I had heard about it, and I saw this cover and the title, Dead Time. This is a British slasher film. That cover, much like Dear God No, love the premise, love the title, love the cover art. I love on here it says British, bloody, and brutal. Very cool, very excited. And yeah, it's about basically a rock band, kind of a hard rock band, and they've had some hard times. They had a hit album several years ago, but since then they've had some flops, and they're pretty much considered done within the industry. They're trying to put out a brand new record, kind of a last hurrah to try to get their career going again, see if they can get another hit record. They're kind of like cliched, like, you know, wanker rock stars from Britain, and their manager convinces this record company to give them one last shot to record a new album, their last shot at regaining their stardom. And basically to fund this album, they make the condition that they have to record it at a certain recording studio. It's kind of like an abandoned warehouse type place where a previous band had recorded a really great album there, so they want to kind of rekindle that magic. So they force them over a 3-day weekend, go in there, we're literally going to lock you up in there. You have to stay in there, you don't come out until you have this record complete, but you have to do it at this location for us to fund the album. So they kind of reluctantly do that, but they agree to it, go in there. Basically, after some time, of course, these wannabe rock stars or former rock stars start getting picked off, and their entourage start getting picked off one by one. I like the cast. Like I said, they're kind of, some are over the top, some are quite normal, but I enjoy the cast. They're fun. I love that premise. I think that's pretty unique for a slash film. An interesting story to me, a lot of fun. And the killer was really cool. He has a mask, if I remember correct, like kind of like a sack type mask. So he looked really cool. Problem is, and there's two really big problems with it, and that's why ultimately I'm going to give this film a decent rating, is they show who the killer is. They expose the killer, I think, way too early in the film. If I remember correctly, there was a good half hour left in the film when the killer is revealed. I think that took a lot away. I don't have a problem with who ended up being the killer when you find out. That is cool, but it's just revealed way too early, and it really hurts the effectiveness of the rest of the film. And the biggest problem with it, and to me this is nearly unforgivable, if I wasn't such a slasher connoisseur and aficionado and collector, where I am going to keep this film just for the premise alone, I just love slashers that much, but is that they use CGI within the gore. The kill scenes, which some of them are actually kind of cool. There's one great scene in this film. It's in a bathroom. It's more like a restroom type with various stalls, and the killer comes in. It's real atmospheric, and the killer looks really cool, and one guy's hiding in one of the stalls. Really cool scene. I wish kind of that type of vibe carried on throughout the rest of the film. But yeah, they use a lot of CGI blood, and it's tough to tell, but some of the kills just have that CGI look to it. Which to me, especially, you guys know I hate CGI, but especially like with horror and what you're doing with gore, and especially like a slasher film, I want the kills to be real, practical. I'd rather take really shitty practical effects to the best CGI, and I really mean that. So I was really disappointed to see some of the kills used CGI with it. To me, it's almost really unforgivable. But because I am just a slasher lover, I'm going to keep this in my collection. I might pop it in again sometime, show somebody. But I'll give this a decent rating. Definitely could have been, really could have been much better with a later reveal of the killer and some actual practical effects. Next one up, another British one, a zombie. You know, there's tons of zombies, zombie comedy, Deadheads. Man, 20 minutes into this film, me and 26, we watched this, my buddy watched this in that film fest that I showed you guys. We looked at each other like, wow, this is good. Creative. It's about these two guys, two friends. They become zombies. We're in the middle of the zombie apocalypse. I know, that doesn't sound that creative. But it was kind of cool because it's showing them everyone else that's a zombie is in full zombie mode. They're the only two that still, they're zombies, but they still have that human form where they can still talk to each other and, you know, try to do something with their lives, that type of aspect. And that was really interesting. Everyone else around them were zombies, ready to eat people. They were as well, but they were still normal. And you know, they go to this bar and they're trying to blend in. It was really cool. And I thought had they carried that story, which we thought they were going to do throughout the rest of the film, kind of trying to survive being a zombie with just full-blown zombies all around them, and kind of the quirkiness of trying to survive within that, I thought that was really interesting and unique and creative. But unfortunately, about halfway through it, it really starts to shift in basically more into the relationship of the one guy trying to get to his girlfriend, and it really becomes more of a almost sappy zombie comedy love story, which is fine, and it had definitely entertaining moments. This one cop here that they come across later, he's really funny, a lot of good one-liners over the top, so it's definitely enjoyable. But the tonal shift and kind of the way the plot changes midway through, I think, definitely brought it down to more kind of just a run-of-the-mill film, which has its moments. But had they carried on that original premise, I think this could have been a really great one. I will give this one a good mark, though. And there's enough good one-liners, entertaining scenes throughout to make it worth a watch, and I'll call it good. But this really could have been great, had the potential. Take a break and we'll be right back with the rest of the films. Alright guys, the next one is yet another British horror film, I believe. Demons Never Die. This is about a group of high schoolers, and basically they all have their own issues and problems, and they all make together a suicide pact. And on this particular day, they're going to all go out and kill each other. Or kill themselves, sorry. So it's actually, I think, a really cool premise. They all make this suicide pact. Later on, they decide, or at least a majority of them, come to the conclusion that they want to change their mind. You know, life's worth living. And the cool thing is when they all change their mind, they throw this big party basically to celebrate their newfound look on life. And then that's when they each start getting picked off one by this mysterious killer. So I think it's actually a really cool premise. It's tough these days to be fresh and creative and unique. It's definitely a fresh film. What it suffers from, though, is definitely character and plot development problems. Mainly in that you don't ever really understand why they got to the point in their lives in the first place that they wanted to commit suicide. You're just kind of like told that they're having, some of them get bullied, other ones are depressed, whatever. That's not developed enough to where you really feel that's plausible or that's relatable or that you even care. The characters themselves are really good. I enjoyed them. It's just there's a development issue on that aspect. And then when they change their mind not to, that isn't developed enough to where why do you suddenly feel that you don't want to commit suicide anymore. So those two issues, which are really keys to the movie, aren't developed very well. But it can be overlooked. Still can overlook that. I really was engaged in this film throughout the whole thing. I was entertained, and in particular, the two leads who aren't on the cover. But the two main characters are a guy and a girl. The girl whose name I don't know. She's very, very hot. It's good that they focus on those two because they really are the two best actors. They're the most deep characters, best actors. Good performance by those two lead characters, and they really carry the film. And gets to the climax at the end of this party. Kills are some pretty decent kills. It's not a very gory film, but I enjoyed the end too. I know I've read a lot of reviews. People criticize it. People I think didn't get the ending, but it's kind of obvious in that as long as you pay attention, there's this narration by this guy here, one of the lead characters, a cop, and not to give anything away, but he basically narrates this kind of like little poetic line at the end of the film, which pretty much explains things, and I kind of really think it's cool how that's explained, and if you're not, all you have to do is really pay attention to that narration to get the ending, so I don't get why people didn't get it, but it's definitely a different film, a unique film if you're looking for something a little different. Like I said, it has its flaws, but I enjoyed it throughout the whole film. It has I'm not a big hip-hop fan, but it has a very urban hip-hop, trip-hoppy type soundtrack, which actually didn't annoy me. There were some decent songs in it. One song in particular with a female vocalist, which was really cool. So I'll give this a good. Demons Never Die. If you're looking for something a little different, something a little fresh, despite its flaws. Another found footage film, Evidence. Two power couples go out for a camping trip. Things escalate pretty quickly. They have some mysterious noises. Appears to be, they eventually see this ape, chimp-like looking creature who eventually begins to harass them. It's a slow build film, which you guys know I just fucking love. But of course, as I say all the time, it's all about the payoff. And while it wasn't the greatest ending in the world, I really enjoyed it. I was really satisfied with the last 20 to 30 minutes of this film, the final act. It really jets up in excitement and really gets very frantic. And again, I love those those slow build films with these found footage films. If you aren't already into that, this isn't going to win you over to get into these found footage films, but if you already are into these like I am, I think you'll really enjoy this one. Again, it's not one of the better ones, but I was very entertained throughout the whole film. Characters are paper thin, but it's really unimportant. It's about what they're going through. And again, the final act, I kind of wasn't expecting the particular reveal, which was cool. I won't give it away, but these ape creatures, another cool thing is they're mostly not CGI. They might have used a little bit of CGI maybe in the face. They don't show them too often, which is actually kind of cool in my opinion. But when I saw the credits, there's actually, it says men in suits, so there are actually like guys in suits, which is really cool. But they look cool, and the frantic last act reminds me almost of like running through one of those haunted houses, like Fright World that we have around here around Halloween, where it's just a lot of running and noises and just in your face, frenzy, and I really enjoyed it. I'll give this one a good evidence. The Revenant, another zombie, yet another one. But I think this one works better than what Deadheads did. These two lead characters, again, they're in the midst of this zombie apocalypse. They're part of it. They're zombies, and they find themselves having to survive. They basically become they're good-hearted zombies still, and they become vigilantes basically, kind of like going around, helping people out and fighting, kind of almost like zombie superheroes, which is really cool. I think that was a cool premise. There's a lot of funny parts in this film. This guy here, the lead guy, definitely carries the film. He's very entertaining. His buddy is played by Chris Wilde, if I remember correctly, I believe had like his own sitcom years ago. But he's a very dominant figure, and he can definitely be kind of grating after a while. He's kind of outrageous and always kind of being a comedian, and he can definitely get a little grating at times, not to like a Chris Tucker level or anything like that. But that'd be honestly my only flaw of the film. Some good practical effects. There is some CGI. But there are some cool kills. There are some scenes that look really good, and I really like the ending. Cool payoff at the end, kind of a somewhat political statement at the end. But definitely give this one a good. It's a good, if you're a big zombie fan, a good addition to your collection. Kind of a cool, refreshing story to me. It does a little better than what Deadheads I think tried to do with that one, The Revenant. Some guy who kills people. Another kind of comedy, dark comedy, black comedy, if you want to call it that. This lead guy here, his name is Kevin Corrigan, been in various things throughout the years, TV shows and films, but this definitely is carried by the cast. Very good cast. You got Karen Black, who's always her typical eccentric self. You have his young daughter. He's a guy who's gotten out of insane asylum, had some issues when he was younger, trying to recover his life. He works at this ice cream parlor, trying to make good with his life. He ends up finding out that he has his daughter from his ex-girlfriend who he was with briefly, but daughter finds out, looks for the father, finds him, they develop a relationship, he ends up starting to care for her, and that's an angle I really like about this film, is the dynamic between him and the daughter. And the daughter is a fantastic actress, but with him kind of being off his rocker, he's an artist too. He draws like comic books, and he begins to kill people that had hurt him back in the day in high school, and in school he kills these people one by one, and so it's got that slasher element. Problem is with a movie that's called Some Guy Who Kills People, you really wish there'd be a little more of a gruesome in the kill scenes and the gore was a little better. With a title like that and with a premise like that, they could have done better, making it a little more, a little better on the kills and the gore factor. But Barry Bostwick is in this. He's fantastic, hilarious. This chick here, I'll forget her name. She was in the original Office BBC series, which I really like. So it's definitely carried, strong cast, great story. I wasn't big on the ending, the reveal. I almost wish they would have went with more of got a little darker in the story. It took him more of because they dabble with dramatic moments, especially in the relationship between the father and the daughter. And I was almost thinking this was going to culminate with a really intense, dark ending. They went the other route of a little more laid back, a little less original, kind of a wannabe twist. But not that it's a horrible ending. I just would have preferred it going the other way. They chose to go a different way, which you might not have a problem with. But nonetheless, it's very entertaining, very well acted, very good script, and a fun time. I just think this had potential to be a really big-time cult film. Instead, I'll just give it a good mark. But it definitely recommend it. You'll enjoy it. Iron Sky. German film. Going to be real simple with this, not going to get real deep in the plot here. Nazis have been waiting in outer space since World War II. They decide to come down and attack us on Earth. Udo Kier, uber hot chick lead there, kind of has a Lady Gaga vibe to her. A blast part. Now some of you out there will be like, hey, I saw a horror movie, I saw that. You guys know me by now. I have a very broad, liberal aspect of what I feel are horror films. This is part action, comedy, sci-fi, horror, exploitation, all wrapped in one. Fantastic, a great time. Finchie and I watched this one night. It's just a blast. Premise alone is fantastic, ridiculous, and it looks really good too. I always bash CGI. Obviously, in a film like this, you have to use CGI, and it actually looks pretty good, especially for a film that certainly didn't have a budget of like a big Hollywood film. Really good time, and the chick is hot. She's definitely going to be up for a Golden Horn Award at the end of the year. Next one, Spanish film. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm getting to the point where I feel Spanish horror can do no wrong. I just love it. Everything I see literally ends up being good or great. Here's another one, The Squad. By the way, I give The Iron Sky, I give that a great mark. This one I'm going to say right off the bat, I give this one a great mark. Military brigade, they're going to this basically this shelter, this camp that their previous brigade had been there and had asked for help, and they're trying to go there to see what happens, see what's going on with them. They get there, they had previously been dealing with terrorists, guerrillas around the region. That's why they were there in the first place, and they're going to this base to try to see what happened to the brigade that was there previous to them. They get there, they can't find anybody, no one's there waiting. They see evidence, they start finding bodies, they wonder what has happened. The cool thing about this, immediately right off the bat, great atmosphere around as far as visually. It's all set, cloudy skies, overcast, and an awesome fog just shrouds them around them through the whole film. There are night sequences as well, so it's a very darker film literally, and but every time it's daytime it's just foggy and overcast, and it just looks awesome. It adds to the atmosphere of the film. And then they find this woman she's behind a wall within one of the rooms at this base, and there's all these things hanging around, kind of like you're dealing with kind of like demonic stuff and religious stuff, and they pull her out. One guy says you shouldn't let her go, she's tied up and she's malnourished and scarred up, and basically from that point on, when they let her go, she escapes. Another guy is killed. They don't know if she killed him, so basically the rest of the film is wondering what is going on as these guys slowly begin to lose their minds, and becomes that psychological type horror. It's fantastic. My only drawback to this film at all is there definitely could be a little more character development. You don't really care for a lot of these soldiers, which I think would have been a little better if you did. But this guy, who's the lead guy, they clearly make him the most likable character, which is at least as important. You definitely do, I think, like him the most, and he's like the lead guy, the guy they focus on. But that's nitpicking. This film was fantastic. The atmosphere, the vibe is great. I love atmospheric, vibey films. It's got that foreboding intensity, that brooding tension, done really well. And the cool thing is you're living through them, with them, wondering as they wonder whether they're losing their minds and turning on each other because just the horrors of war and what they've gone through, which is revealed throughout the film, or is it really this woman that a lot of them feel is making them, something has happened, whether it be a curse or they're paranoid that she's out there trying to kill them. So you're living through that, and you don't know either while you're watching this. You can make your guesses, but you really don't know. And they literally don't give you an explanation until literally the last scene of the film. And you guys know I love endings. I feel endings are important. And unfortunately, when I watch films and I'm midway through a film, I love it, I start to immediately get paranoid. Are they going to fuck the ending up? They nail the ending as far as I'm concerned, and it's not revealed until the very last scene, which is awesome. Fantastic film. Spanish have done it again. The Squad, great film. Vampire film. Midnight Sun. This is put out by the Image Entertainment. Nice slipcover, horrible artwork. It's clearly just trying to, I don't know. I'm going to see if there's a Region 2 release of this, who always have better covers, probably original artwork, but this is, I don't know. is, I think, trying to make it look like all Twilighty or something, but it is a sweet slipcover. I love slipcovers. It's all shiny. The Squad had a cool one too. It's got the embossed letter. Anyway, about this, two people basically focuses on this one guy. He has a skin condition where he can't go out in the sunlight, so he works like an overnight security job. Good guy, really likable right off the bat. He meets this chick here. I don't even know if that's her, but it doesn't really look like her. He meets this chick at a bar one night because he definitely sleeps all day and then goes out at night after his job. Goes to this bar, meets this chick. She's really cool. I love these two characters. Very likable characters. The chick, you can tell he's in his 20s. You can tell she's kind of maybe like middle 30s. That's kind of cool that she was like a little older than him. You always see like couples in movies are like the exact same age. She was like really cute. Really something sexy about her. Really liked her. Very likable as well. When they first meet, she has one of those like, she's at a bar and she's like selling like shots and like she's selling little blow pops, and she offers him one, and she gives her the flavors like watermelon and apple and grape, and I was like, you gotta say grape, and he said grape, so that immediately he just won me over. So great chemistry between them. They develop a relationship and realize that he's slowly turning into a vampire. He starts craving blood. At first it's steaks, and then once they're making out at one time, and she has her own demon. She is basically a cokehead, and they're making out, and she gets the classic coke nosebleed, and he ends up tasting it. So here's his first taste of human blood. So then he craves that. Of course, you can probably figure out he starts going into having to find ways to get human blood, and of course that leads to some murders. She eventually realizes what's going on. So the dynamic between the two of them in relation is fantastic. It has this, the film in general has a very kind of artsy drama vibe to it, which is great. It's very low budget, but it's shot really well. Fantastic script. Again, these two leads carry the whole film. Great performances. You really like both of them, feel for them, which just adds to the impact. And it's about, him dealing with full-blown turning into a vampire, but it's done in such a cool, fresh, and creative way. Absolutely love this film. It shifts from more of that kind of artsy indie drama vibe into full-blown horror. I would have been fine if they kept that more artsy vibe, but it's really cool that it definitely takes a quick turn right into a full-blown horror film. And I love the ending, love the last scene of this film. Highly recommend, and one of my favorites of the year thus far. Midnight Sun. Really going to be Scott Lebrecht as a director. Really curious to what he goes on after this, and I hope he stays in the horror genre. Highly recommended. Probably my most favorite, with all due respect to Stakeland last year, definitely my favorite vampire film in a long time. Definitely my favorite indie vampire film since Larry Fessenden's Habit, which is actually, you could see maybe some influences in this film. Check it out, great. Lastly, my final one. Tough with these other two because I really love Midnight's on the Squad, but this is probably still my favorite of the year so far. We got a lot to go. Alice. I know my boy Scotty, Willie Mark, is a big fan of this film. This is absolute blast. This young girl, Alice, she works kind of a dead-end office job. She's kind of frustrated. She has a good best friend. They go out one night, club. They end up getting together with this guy. It's kind of this pimp and drug dealer. They get some drugs. They're going to have a good time. They end up on the roof of the apartment that they live at, and her best friend accidentally gets pushed off of the roof by her. She trips or whatever, pushes her off, and then from that point on, she's basically freaking out, trying to cover up this murder. She slowly spirals into this drug abuse. And it's kind of cool. It starts off, and she is really likable. I really like her. She's clearly kind of down on the inside. She's something not right with her, but she's cool. She's cute. I think she's likable. And then she just does the downward spiral of drug abuse, dealing with the fact that she accidentally killed her friend. She hates her job. She hates her boss. And she just slowly spirals into drug addiction. And middle of the film is very almost like a drama horror film, much like kind of like Midnight Sun. While it doesn't get to the extremity of this film, quickly turns into it full-blown, awesome, over-the-top, crazy as she completely loses it. And it's just awesome. There's some great scenes at the end of this film. Great gore, almost has an Asian film type vibe to it in that way. And it also has James Duval in it, who always puts in a good performance. Highly recommended. Great. Definitely at this point my favorite horror film of the year. Although, please guys, hopefully some of these films interest you. If nothing else, please check out these final four of these great films. Iron Sky, The Squad, great, fresh, new, independent vampire film, Midnight Sun, and Alice. Thanks for sticking around to watch. I know I ramble. You guys know by now I tend to do that. Hopefully some of these films, I'm sure they will end up at the end of the year up for nominations in the Golden Horn Awards. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Stick around for part 2 for you Hardbox fans out there. Big, epic update. See you later, guys.